All right, playing some one-on-one here, trying to get my 8 for my pin chest. One of my viewers asked me to film some T7, so I'm going to practice T7 today, see if I can get those Juniper point holes that are in the upcoming Pacific Cup tournament. I got one of these clubs upgraded here. Let's see, Castaway. All right, let's see what the Castaway has when we upgrade it to level 7. Get some distance, get some accuracy. Got its backspin. Let's compare the Castaway. Let's select it. Compare it to a Houdini. So Houdini would be your switch if you wanted to do backspin with, if you were bringing out a sand wedge with backspin. So they're both at 100 backspin. Houdini's got more curl, which usually isn't an issue here, but the ball guide is definitely an issue. And accuracy, they're pretty close. Castaway is a little bit farther hitting club, 10 yards. So there may be some situations where the Houdini's not quite enough and the Castaway might be the one, but it still looks like a turd. Even when it's up to 7. Let's make sure we got some bags set up here. I have no idea what to take in these bags, but let's switch it up. That's my Guardian bag if I think I need a backspin club. Got a rock bag, and this bag right here I use on a lot of holes, because there's some holes where you look and you go, hey, I need a big dog, and there's some, this is a great bag. This big dog and big topper match up together, because the big topper's got lots of curl and lots of topspin, and a big dog has lots of curl and lots of topspin. So there's a lot of things you can get done with that bag. Bring a Marlin. We're gonna play all these with a Marlin ball. Maybe pop out if we're on the Juniper point holes. If we catch one of the tournament holes, I'll pop out a bigger ball just to see what we can do on them. Southern Pines, hole 9, par 5. Let's see if my opponent brings out a bigger ball here, because if they bring out a bigger ball, I may bring out a bigger ball, because the shot that I like to do here. We got a 6-9. Let's bring it an extra mile. Extra. That's max overpower getting over there. So it's 2, 4, 6, 10. Come up into that area. Do a max overpower with max curl. See if we can make it over to the other side. Boom, overdrove it. Look at that. First hole out and overdrove it, dinking around. My opponent comes out with the same stuff. Marlin should easily be able to get over. The wind will push you over to the other side right there. You don't have to do a max overpower. Now they're taking the risk of ending up in the sand as well. The wind actually from where they were at would push them up to the red, push them up there so that they could bounce over. If they'd have taken that shot right there with no overpower, they would have been nicely over. The deal is that with lower level equipment, you're still in a spot of bother as far as like trying to get on. That's 2, 4, 6. It's about 7, 1, so it's about 3.5 rings. I count my Spitfire as 2 per ring. Let's see if I got my distance right there so it won't bleed out. And just put myself down there. This is still a very difficult shot to get on from here, and there's several different ways that you can do it. In tournament play, I play a rough bump out there with a big dog. I try and blast it out where I'm up in the shadow range. I can't remember the distance, but it's like 400 and some odd yards to get out there. This hole right here, if you want to increase the odds that you're going to get an eagle in a tournament, you need to bring the biggest ball you have in your bag. To try and get on it too. And the angle that you're coming in down here, I usually do a rough bump. Now you can try and go around it. Usually I do a rough bump. We'll see if this works. We'll practice. Hitting it great. Great to the right. See if I can bleed out of it. And there you go. Was tentative. I had more topspin that I could have put on there, but I was very tentative. I didn't want to, and even in tournaments, I don't like to blow out past that because once you engage the green, if you don't have your speed right, you'll roll off the back and you'll end up in the rough down at the bottom. And so I would rather be up at the top up here taking a chip to get in than to make a bad situation where I'm doing that rough bump and then end up in the rough on the other side. The way to do it is what my opponent's doing, where they're trying to go around that and then just bring it up on the green so that they have this putt. But it's easy to roll off the back if you don't have your speed right. Nice shot. Nice shot. Nice shot, man. I don't think wind's going to really play a factor here, but I'm going to hedge my bets. Give myself a little bit of room, but I don't think it's going to play a full factor. And hit it great to the right. And it did play a little bit of a factor. It did move it over a little. It moved it over about half as fast as it was going, so there was a little bit of wind effect. And one-on-one on this hole, in tournament play in this hole, your goal is to try and get an eagle. Your odds of getting an Albie are way low. This is not a hole that we have a serious Albie look at. It's a birdie hole with an eagle opportunity. So in one-on-one, unless you're bringing out big equipment, it's almost always a birdie hole. And I've eagled this hole with a Marlin. It is possible, but you got to have everything go your way. But typically in one-on-one, it's just an eagle or it's a birdie hole. So trying to remember how to play this hole. Try and remember. One seven. I know that looks like it. What, like, where are you setting up to? 7-7. So there's 5. There's 6, 7, 7. Put all the curl on it. I'm going to try and bring it back to the hole with curl since I don't have enough side spin. And end up off the green. Do you think it's been a while since I played these holes? I can't even remember how to play them. I normally, in my one-on-one bags, I bring a Saturn. It's not the most accurate long iron in the game, but as far as like utility, on a hole like that, you get into that kind of wind, you can just go out there and backspin it. You get on a hole where you need to use topspin and you need to run it up. It's got good ball guide and it's got good topspin and you can run it up. You need a shot with lots of curl. Saturn's got lots of curl. So as far as like utility, it's a great club. In tournament play, when you're trying to get on them, it's always better if you can try and bring your more accurate club. Good game. So most people are going to bring a backbone, but with the new and improved Grizzly, you can use your Grizzly as your accurate long iron. Come on. Let's replay. Let's just do it. We're already here. Wussy. Just because that is one of those shootouts, I'm going to switch this up. Play with my Saturn. And this is my secondary primary bag. Switch over to a Saturn. Because there isn't anything that you can't get done with a Saturn. If you look at it versus the accuracy, it's similar distance. Its accuracy is half as much. It's got better topspin than most of the long irons. It's got better backspin. It's got good curl. It's got decent ball guide. So in one-on-one, I usually play with more of my utility stuff. I had that stuff in there for tournaments. All right, and I always stick with my Hornet. There isn't much I can't get done with my Hornet. There are a few holes in this game that you may need a club with some backspin, but there are ways to get up on those holes with a Hornet. City Park, hole 3, par 5. Have I lost 2 in a row here? I think I've lost 2 in a row. I think I played 2 games and lost 2. So I'm on a good streak. This is another very tough hole. This is another one of those par 5s that where we're normally shooting for trying to put ourselves in a spot where we can hit an Albie. On this hole right here, your goal is to put yourself in a spot where you can get an eagle, because this is a birdie hole with an eagle opportunity. My opponent's getting up there nicely. I'm going to switch to this bag right here. Which topspin did I put on there? 3. Yeah, it's going to be close. 3-7. There's 4. I'm going to do a 4-ring pull. So it puts me about a half ring into power. I'm going to rub up against the nubs to put that back in. Isn't it perfect? Now it'll be all about whether or not I got my distance right, whether it bleeds out or if it stops. The whole goal, if you're laying up on a shot like that, is not to push the issue. It's better to be 7 yards short of that fringe and have a little bit longer shot on the other side than it is to push the issue and end up in the rough up there, because you don't want to end up in the rough up there. That means you're going to engage this fairway somewhere back on this side of this fairway bunker. You're going to be on this side, and it's hard to get over to the other side. And you definitely don't want to have to engage this area up here with overpower, because this area's got all kinds of movement on the terrain. You can see how much movement's down there, so it's very easy to end up in a bad spot. Distance-wise, my opponent's absolutely where they wanted to be. Terrain-wise, they're absolutely where they didn't want to be. And so there's so much drop over here, it's hard to bring the ball back around. All right, make me play hard. Play hard to get. I gotcha. 1-7. It's 2.1 per ring, so we're a little shy of a ring. Isn't it perfect? See if we can just bleed up there. Get a little forward movement. It's better to be in the fairway. At least I got a fairway shot here. This has got to be every bit of my long iron. I think up there where my opponent's at, I'm probably in short iron range. They got a Houdini. I'm trying to backspin that sucker in. I'm not sure what the Houdini hit, so it's probably got to be somewhere in the 2 ring. Hit it perfect. That should be to the right of the cup. Didn't look like they took out enough wind. It didn't. Doo-doo. See where my red line is? I'm right at red line. It's 1.9 per ring, so it's about a 2.5 ring pull. Hitting it great to the right. We'll still engage that hill and roll down there, but trying to get that trajectory right is always a tricky deal. That's what I'm saying. This hole right here, if you're playing in tournaments, you want to be up there where my opponent was at, off to the right-hand side in the fairway. And if you bring a really accurate short iron, you can actually go right at the hole, so you don't have to engage that hill. From any distance out there that I come at that hole, I like to be where I can engage I can go straight at the cup and not have to dink around with that hillside. There is you get a look where you can kind of funnel it down the hill and go to the hole, but trajectory wise, I find that's a low percentage way to go at it. If you can go right up to it, it's a tough hole to get an eagle on. So one-on-one play, don't strive so much. You have to watch what your opponent's doing, but you don't have to strive so much to get the eagle on that, because it's low percentage getting the eagle. I usually play from up here, but I'm switching how I play this hole because I want to explore some different sides. Get up a little. Okay, I'm at max here to a 246 and a little. Hitting it perfect. I usually play from the top of the hill, but I don't know what kind of dynamic they've changed or something, but it seems like the last few times I've been on this hole, hitting from the top of the hill, I ended up clipping the sand down there, and I'm not sure what has changed in the dynamic. I find if you play from the top of the hill up here and then come down, the deal is that you don't engage any of this hill right here. So your first bounce is right here on the fringe, and then it's rolling up, excuse me, it's rolling up to the cup without engaging any of the slope. It's been a long time since I played this hole, but it'll take me a few times. I haven't played Tour 6 in a long time, so I'll play Tour 6 and get these shootouts, and then it'll start to come back to me. I'll lose some of these shootouts, and it'll irritate me, so I'll start to remember. I have to break loose the brain cells. It'll be nice and close. Nice shot. Good game. I think I lost that. Am I on a losing streak? Wow, I won one. Wow. See if they'll replay. Come on, man. Come on. Are we going to have to go back to the screen and come back to the deal? Come on. You're not very fast for NHRA. All right. I guess you don't want to play. Guess you want me to have to go back to the screen. Here we go. Tour 6. Let's get some of those Jennifer Point holes. Let's see if we can get the holes that are in the upcoming Pacific Cup tournament. City Park. This is another tough hole. I have a setup shot on this hole, so I do the same exact setup. And I do it with my number 3 bag. So I'm going to come out here. I'm going to put on just a little bit of topspin. I want my ball guide where the transition is between the rough and the fairway. I want my ball guide right on that. I'm going to take the wind out. It's one per ring. It's a 100% accurate club. So that's about a 5-ring pull. And then I'm going to come out here and I'm going to put on max curl, no overpower. Hitting it perfect. And that should bleed right down the middle of the fairway. The only question there is about distance, like whether you get your distance right. So if you bring a bigger ball, which in the tournament you would want to bring a bigger ball, not for the first shot, but for the second shot, so that it gives you a better shot at getting up there. But I know from playing my rock that if I line up on that transition, and that is for a rock that has all of its curl. So if you've got a rock that's like level 7 or you've got a quarterback, I would be 3 rings off. I would be my blue ring off that same transitional surface. And I hit that max curl shot. Actually, I take that back. I'm 5 rings and a little. Ooh, close. And you'll have to work that out with your clubs. But there's a lot of holes in this game that I know when I get to that hole, that's exactly the deal. I already have a shot set up for it. I don't have to try and negotiate through that thing every time and have some different type of setup. I'm going to give myself a little bit of room here. One, 2. 1.2. And I want it to go just a little bit to the left. And I hit it great to the right. Just floating up there to the cup. This is a tough par 4. This is not a par 4 you're going to get a lot of eagles on. So the deal is this is a birdie par 4. So it's important when you come to these holes to know what the minimum score is that you're looking for on these holes. So the minimum score you're looking for on this is a birdie. And it gives you an eagle shot. But it is a tough eagle shot. It's not like a lot of par 4s where we can put ourselves in a spot to get some spectacular shot at it. If you want the spectacular shot, you really need to get through this and try and get into your long iron range. And even then, it's still a very difficult shot coming up that hill. Very nice. Nice shot. Very nice. In most cases, if you get on this hole and you get a birdie in one-on-one play, you're going to go to a shootout. So the way to put pressure on your opponent is to get that birdie, because you'll win more here because your opponent made a mistake than you will because you got an eagle. Shootout. Let's go to this next shootout. I got to remember these shootouts that are in Tour 6. I switched up my clubs for this hole. So I have a Saturn now, so I can play it the way I play it in tournaments, which is to go right freaking at it. Two, 4, 5. I'm going to do about a ring and 3/4. Isn't it perfect? You can land behind it, and if it'll come back to the hole. That's much closer than the last time. Not as close as I'd like. The deal there is if you put too much backspin on that shot and it rolls past the cup towards the tee box, you can engage that hill and it'll suck it down that hill, and you could be off by 7-8 yards. And it's a difficult putt in tournaments to have to make that putt up the hill, because it's one of those ones where you're not hitting it straight. You're having to pull it off and do it at an angle, and it's not a putt that you want to have to take very many times. That little plateau that's up there where the cup is at, you want to stick it on that plateau and not roll down that hill. See if my opponent can get up there. Nice. Nice shot. Nice shot, man. Let's see if they'll replay us. Come on, Tyler. Good game. Good game. Awesome. Get some replay action so we don't have to go back to the screen and go through the whole little deal. If you're switching tours and you're going up, you have to expect it's just like what I'm doing right here. I know how to play these holes, but I don't know how to play the shootouts. I can't remember. And you have to take your lumps. So when you talk about moving up a tour, you're going up to the next tour, you've got to be willing, you got to have enough cheddar that you can get up there and not have to worry about losing a few. It's about a ring. Puts me just a titch in power. Put a little teeny bit of curl on it. Just a little teeny bit of power. Hitting it perfect. This is a great shot for eagle on this hole. If you can get out here to the other side, and I see a lot of people play this hole and they overshoot this other side. That is right here. I've got a nice, I can run the ball up to the cup up here, and I've got the entire green to work with. I see a lot of people overshoot it and they shoot it way out to the other side over here. And the farther you get out there, the more you pinch the shot coming up to the cup. And you'll get to the point where it'll be better to have a backspin club. See if my opponent can get up there. Get up on the green. And they can still get on from there, but their shot is diminished as far as trying to get in. It's always better to come here with your better stuff. You can still get it done. There's max club. So I'm right at max. It's 1.1 per ring at max. Maybe just a little bit on this side. 1.1, so there's 5.5. That leaves me 6, so that's about a half a ring. So it's 4.5 rings. Is that right? No, there's 5.5, so it's 5.5 rings. What was I thinking? Learn how to do basic math. 2 + 2 = 4. Let's think about that. 5.5. Yeah, it was 5.5 rings. And I hit it great to the left there, but the wind effect is what pushed it over. Close. Something's changed on this particular hole, and I'm not exactly sure what the dynamic is on this hole, but I used to come to this hole. When this hole first came out, I got eagles on this hole all the time. And then here the last few times this has been in a tournament, it's been one of those hit or miss type holes. Those shots are dangerous. If you pull back on that shot right there and you pull back too much, you can see where it comes off on the other side and you can bounce it over the hole. So a lot of times people will pull it back just a little bit where the hole will start to glow, and as soon as the hole starts to glow, they release. You need to see the tail come out on the other side just a little bit, because when the hole starts to glow, that doesn't mean that the ball has enough speed to make it to the hole. And I've missed a putt from that far away because the hole started to glow and I released it and it just rolled forward halfway half the distance from where it was to the cup. Let's see if I can remember how to play this hole. Sniper. There's 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. Put some curl on it. Hitting it great to the inside, which is probably good because I think I was about a ring off on my adjustment there. And this is a hole right here that I like to play with a Guardian. So if I was setting up my bags after I'm playing on this, I would be, there's some clubs that I would be switching. Like I haven't, there's a couple holes where my sniper comes in handy on those par 5s. Just with the top spin. But these shootouts, it's important to bring the right clubs for these shootouts. I used to hit when this hole first came out. I've explored this island. This island's not bad, but there is a wind adjustment you need to make over there. And the thing about it is, if you hit great to the left or the right, you get 3 totally different ball trajectories, and they're not necessarily close. And that's probably the safer way to play with that kind of wind. Good job. Good game. See if we can rematch again. I don't know that I've even won. Have I won one game since we started? I think I'm on like a 16-game losing streak now. Trying to remember how to play them. All right, here we go. Here we go. Scott, U.S. Dream Team. Juniper Point, hole 9, par 5. If I can remember what this hole looks like. Oh, I'm practicing a shot on this hole because I am not going to play this hole the same anymore, and that wind is going to be problematic. So I want to end up out in this area right here. So there's one set. It's 10. I'm going to come out where I'm right on the edge of the sand, the transition between the sand and the rough. I'm going to come over here and take the wind out. I'm trying to find the setup out here for a max overpower hook shot because I am not going to play this hole the same anymore in tournaments. I'm going to work out a max overpower hook shot out here, and just not quite enough that I can bounce over to that other side. And this is a hole that this hole ticks me off. Trying to land on that little island out there. It's not that it's super difficult, but the deal is that I'm trying to get forward movement to get into a better club. The whole deal is this first shot here to try and get on that island is not an easy shot, and the second shot blows. And I'm a big fan of like putting ourselves in a spot where the next shot is like the premium spot. And that is not a premium spot from up there. But for most of the areas down there, I can recover. If I try that max overpower hook shot and it doesn't quite work out, I can recover. Six three. It's a little over 3 rings. Hitting it perfect. Just trying to bleed up there on the green. Give myself a opportunity to get back in it. See what recovery clubs my opponent brought. They got a Nirvana, so they got this covered like a Jimmy hat. The thing about that is that sand right there is a magnet. And it's very easy if you're trying to come at it from this angle to end up clipping that sand and in that sand, and hitting it great to the right is not good. I think they left themselves enough room on that, but it is very easy to get caught up in that sand down there. We will see. Yeah, perfect. In the hole. See if my opponent can chip it up there. Why are you frowny facing, dude? That's how this works. They're off the cup, and I don't know why they're off the cup. They hit this perfect. They're probably going to miss it. We're great to the left. Good game. From that distance, there's no wind effect, so we'll see if they'll replay us. I'm going to fix some coffee. See if they'll rematch. No dice. All right, let's see how many we got left on the pin chest. Trying to get 8. Need 3 more. Only won 2 out of 8, 2 out of 5. That's no bueno. See if we can win the last 3. I'll try harder. City Park. Can't remember this hole either. I don't remember any of these holes until I get on them and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. This is another setup shot. And it's difficult to do with a headwind. It's difficult to do with a headwind and a marlin. What I need to do here is try and figure out this shot with my big topper. Big great hole to practice on. But I probably won't do that right now. We'll see if my opponent ends up in the brown stuff, or if they're good to go. They're good to go. That's a nice shot. Well played. Nice shot. Switch to my number 3 bag. Need a lot of topspin to get way down in there. Be right up against the red line. If I leave myself enough room on the red line, I'm going to be way back. Five, 1. I'm in about 2.5 rings of power. Max curl, about 2.5 rings of power. Isn't it great? Let's see if I got my trajectory right. It's all about that bounce right there. Needed a little teeny bit more overpower. The main thing is just be down there in that finger on the fairway, because if you're in that finger on the fairway, you can engage that island. A little bit of headwind is problematic, but that's funny. We went from a wind that was headwind going from the left to the right, and 7 minutes later, we've got a headwind coming from the right to the left. That is one of my complaints about the game, is the way that they run the wind when we get on a hole, I don't really care what they're, if they want to, however they want to set the wind up on that hole, but the wind should be consistent as far as direction. I need just a little teeny bit more backspin. Okay. Allow for the wind. Do a max overpower shot. And hopefully I can hit that island. Goal is to just get up there so that I can get my eagle and move on. Get to the shootout. When you're doing those kind of shots and you're rubbing up against the red line and you're trying to do a top spin where you're trying to finesse it. So I think of top spin as finesse. You're trying to finesse it up there and you're having to put some overpower to fight against the wind. You take a big risk of either overpowering it or under overpowering it, and you can have problems. If you're fighting against a headwind and you're fighting against your red line and you can engage backspin, you'll have a much higher percentage because you can hit it great to the left or the right. It's not going to matter. That way you can put on max overpower, and instead of you trying to finesse it on the other side where you're trying to get it to roll up to the cup, you're just trying to stick it on the green. I kind of remember how to play this hole. Let's see if I can remember. I remember 9-6 headwind or tailwind. Nine, 6. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6. Put just a little bit of curl on it. And hit it 70 rings great to the left. And that shot setup, you can hit that ball great to the left or the right, and you'll still end up in a very similar spot. And the thing about this hole is that you can pick. There's a ton of spots out here. Just pick a spot. Just pick a spot. Like I used to work the shadow when I had lower developed clubs. Coming here with a hammerhead 3, I work that shadow exactly where my opponent is. One of the things that people will do when they work further back in this hole, like I try and get as far up that hole as I can get. But when you have lower developed stuff and you're trying to get in that hole, if you're putting curl on it, you take the risk of it clipping when it comes over, and they're going to blow up onto that top plateau. This is a very low percentage hole-in-one hole, but getting that close is pretty achievable on a regular basis. I very seldom ever end up anywhere except on the green on this hole. And usually you're pretty close. Pretty close. All right, how many we got? 2. Here, I'm going to see if I can get somebody to... I'm opening up that pin chest because it only takes 19 gems. And then I'll start another one. When I'm cycling through chests, the way that I do it is that... So like if I was playing for 4 gold chests today, you're going to have to open up 12 silvers. So while I only have 1 gold chest, I won't run the gold chest. I'll run the silvers because I may be able to get that one down to 19 before I win another silver. I'm going to bring my... what I really want to do on this hole is go for it. Let's see where I can get out there. So when you're opening up those chests, when you're opening up those chests and doing it, so I get a silver, and I get a silver, and then I get a gold. So then I'll open the two silvers. I always like to leave as many, like I usually will open up. I like to leave at least two open chests so that if I get somebody that wants to replay, I can replay them. And then when I get two gold chests, then I'll start one of the gold chests to start it on its path. And then I'll just open up every silver chest that I get. And when I got three gold chests, then it's on that thing of where I don't necessarily want to replay, but I will still continue to replay if people want to replay. Trying to get the 4 golds. Sometimes if I'm really playing, once I get to that point, I may pop open a gold. Once I get a gold, let it time run for a bit while you're trying to open up silver chests, and then I'll just open up a gold, trying to save gems so that you can open up more chests. The more chests you open, the more color cards you get. So I do know from past experience that if you're in that area where I'm at out there, that you can easily get up into the optimal spot when you don't have a 75-mile-an-hour headwind to deal with. 2, 4, 6, 8. I put a little bit extra on it just because that's a pretty high headwind, hitting it perfect. I'm just trying to bleed myself up in there to get into my, that's probably going to be long iron, possibly wood range. At a minimum, long iron. If you're up here by the sand, probably long iron. If you're up there by the sand up in here, you're in your short iron range. If you come here and you have a bigger ball, it is a little bit easier to get up. Normally, you can engage on the other side. Where's my opponent? They're in the same spot that I'm in. Not a big fan of recovering. Whenever you're using your rough iron and you're recovering, it's never a good idea to use overpower. It's better to try and set the shot up so that you can just take a straightforward shot, get back on track. I hit it in the rough there knowing that I could get up there. If I had a 3 side spin ball, I could go right at that sucker right now. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. It's about 4.5 rings. That puts me about a ring and a half into power. So I'm going to put a little bit of power on it. Not a lot, but a little. Not take any super risks. My opponents put themselves in a spot of bother, so they're not going to be able to get up there. They might. Maybe. But they definitely didn't do themselves any favors. See if they can get up on there, and I think they did. They got that wind adjustment right. They did not. That's why you never forfeit. You never know what your opponents are going to do. They're all knocking it around and hitting really good, and then they make a bad adjustment. It's always nice when a Marlin can put pressure on somebody with a power 4 ball on a big hole. And they brought the right club for this. As far as accuracy goes, that's why the Malibu is so popular. I prefer those shots with my Spitfire. Only because I understand how the backspin works on a Spitfire. A little teeny bit of backspin is a lot of backspin on a Spitfire. So you can get right up to the hole. Good game. See if they'll play. Just to see if they'll replay. I think we got one more. Come on. Come on. Starting to figure some of it out. Starting to remember some of these holes. Okay, we got one more, so I'm just going to go out there and play it. I think this will be a silver chest if I... Oh, nope, back. Tour 7, Tour 6. Is that right? Yeah, Tour 6. All right, last one. Let's see if we can blow this out of the park and get some spectacular thing going so I can remember how to play these. This is the Southern Pines holes are pretty cool. There's 3 different ways that you can go at this, depending on which way the wind's blowing. So you can hit it straight forward. And the way the wind's blowing there, that's probably the shot. You can bounce it over here. Against that headwind, that ain't going to work. And you can try and get it over here, and I have just enough room. I might be able to do that. But if I'm shooting over to this area right here, the whole goal is I'm not trying to blow this out of the park. I'm just trying to lay it up. 5, 6, 7, 8, a little. Hitting it great to the right. 1 ring. And that was definitely laying it up. The wind there definitely had a bigger effect than I had anticipated. The smart play on this is to just hit it out here. And one-on-one is to hit it out here and get up with a long iron with your wood, and you're good to go. It works better when you have a wood that's got some topspin. So like a hammerhead or a sniper. You'll have problems out there with a wood if you've got a Viper because it doesn't have a lot of topspin, or a Guardian. But you can get up with either one of those. Any of the woods will work, but having a little bit of topspin at your disposal is better. I can still get up from where I'm at, but my opponent cannot. Put a bunch of topspin on it. Just try and bleed up there. I don't need to get the eagle right here. All I need to do is get up on the green and put pressure on my opponent. Isn't it perfect? Give me a nice little chip. Nice little chip for my birdie. Yeah, that's definitely the side to go on if you're in that situation, because it's flat up there on the top. And that green rolls down on the left-hand side. So just a little bit to the left of the cup, it drops off severely to the left. And so when you come at it from the left-hand side, you've got to negotiate that hill. So it's always better to try and come at it from the right if you can. Now I have to, I still got some work to get done. The wind is going to play a factor at this distance. I'm going to come right on the edge of the cup. Give me a perfect. See if I got my wind adjustment right. In the hole. Hitting the flagpole. I got the wind adjustment perfect. Perfect. I'll play some Tour 6 next week. I'll play Tour 6 all week next week. I haven't played these Tour 6 holes, and I obviously have played all these holes in tournaments, and I've played all these holes before, but it's just a long time since I played certain tours. Just trying to remember how to play the holes, shootouts especially, which clubs to bring. So there's certain clubs that you bring in your bag because when you get on shootouts, those clubs will help you in the shootouts, but those clubs may not be the optimal clubs on the course. So that means that when you got to think about that. So when you're on the course, instead of trying to achieve what you would achieve if you had a sniper, knowing you have a Guardian in your bag, it doesn't have a lot of topspin. There's certain things that you can't do. So setting yourself up so that when you get into that club, you're in the right spot for that club. Sometimes you struggle just a little bit in the play, but when you get to a shootout, you're golden. All right. Oh, we got a gold chest on that one. So I think we finished off with a gold. So we ended up with 2 golds and some silvers. Opening up our pin chest. Let's see if we got 6,000 of something. 24 gems. Some razors. Just got my razor to level 8. It's arguably exactly the same as a Nirvana at level 8. You get that razor to level 8, there's not much to talk about between them. They're both the same distance, both the same accuracy. Nirvana's got a little bit more top spin. Razor's got more backspin. Curl's about the same. And the Nirvana's got better ball guide. So there are 3 reasons why I would stick with my Nirvanas, because I play with it forever and I absolutely have faith in the numbers on it. That's number 1. And number 2, top spin. Any kind of distance I can get with a rough iron is distance that I can get with my rough iron. I don't tend to use the curl or the backspin that much with a rough iron. And ball guide is awesome. So I will stick with my Nirvana. Hopefully when it gets maxed out, then I can just stick with it forever. All right, that was Tour 6, 8 holes, just to kind of give you an idea of what to and not to do. And I think there was a bunch of not to do in there. All right, thanks for watching.